Veterans and distinguished guests, faculty members, staff, and students, welcome to Atlanta Classical Academy's 7th Annual Veterans Day Ceremony. Today, we honor and remember the service and sacrifice of veterans of the United States military, men and women who have served in our Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard. To the veterans among us, please accept our humble gratitude as we seek to honor your military service today. My name is Matthew Kirby, and I'm the Executive Director of Atlanta Classical Academy. For the benefit of our guests, Atlanta Classical Academy is a public K-12 charter school operated independently but in partnership with Atlanta Public Schools. We serve 689 students who live in 20 different zip codes across the city of Atlanta. That includes 42 seniors, the class of 2021, who are working hard to graduate next May. Our mission is to train the minds and strengthen the hearts of our students, to imbue them with the knowledge and virtue necessary for building happy, meaningful lives. We offer a classical liberal arts curriculum that emphasizes virtuous living, traditional learning, and civic responsibility. As an American classical school, we are patriotic. We teach our students that they are the heirs and the stewards of the Western tradition and the fruits of civil and religious freedom, that the American experiment is the greatest expression of that legacy, that our constitutional republic requires a virtuous citizenry, and that the principles on which our nation was founded are worth defending. Today, we observe Veterans Day. At exactly 11 o'clock on November 11th, 1918, 102 years ago today, representatives of France, Britain, and Germany met in a railroad car near the French town of Compiègne to sign an armistice agreement ending World War I. On that day, many battle-weary soldiers breathed a sigh of relief as the guns fell silent after 4 years of the most horrific and intense fighting the world had ever seen. For many years afterwards, November 11 was known as Armistice Day, a day spent in solemn recognition of those who fought in World War I. Then, in 1954, Congress changed the name to Veterans Day in thankful recognition to all American veterans. Here at Atlanta Classical Academy, we have established this tradition of remembering the 2.8 million Americans who have been killed or wounded in service to the nation since 1775, and also to pay tribute to the 23 million veterans living among us today. Let me say just a few words about today's ceremony. We will observe a special flag ceremony performed by our color guard. We'll hear a bugler play taps. We'll observe an interview with an Atlanta Classical Academy grandfather, Captain Jake Stewart, United States Navy retired, and Atlanta Classical Academy father, Lieutenant Colonel Jeff Stewart, United States Marine Corps Reserve. We will hear from Senior Kyla Warhola about freedom, sacrifice, and education. And finally, 6th grade teacher Michael Schulte will speak about the importance of traditions, like today's ceremony, in the formation of civic virtue. At this point, we will observe our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bolts bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
It is a tradition at Atlanta Classical Academy to replace the flag that has flown for the previous year with a new flag on Veterans Day. As the old flag is lowered, retired, and folded into a perfect triangle, a special script is read, commemorating each of the 13 folds of the flag with a special remembrance and appreciation of our nation's history. Color guard, lower the colors. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. The Declaration of Independence. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice and ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Preamble, the U.S. Constitution. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. The First Amendment. Born on June 14, 1777, the Second Continental Congress passed a resolution directing that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternating between 7 red and 6 white, and that the Union should be 13 stars, white in a blue field, representing a new constellation. Between 1777 and 1960, the shape and design of the flag evolved into the flag presented before you today. The colors of the flag are symbolic. Red symbolizes hardiness and valor. White signifies purity and innocence. And blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. The 13 stripes represent the 13 original states: Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Georgia, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maryland, South Carolina, New Hampshire, Virginia, New York, North Carolina, and Rhode Island. The 50 stars represent our 50 United States. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was so moved at seeing the stars and stripes waving after the British shelling of Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, the tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Emma Lazarus, inscription on the Statue of Liberty. By displaying the flag and giving it the distinctive folds, we show respect for the flag and express our gratitude for those individuals who fought for our freedom at home and abroad. To sacrifice is to give up something valued for an ideal, a belief, or a goal. America exists today because of the sacrifices of countless Americans. Many have made the ultimate sacrifice of their lives in battles waged during the Revolution, the Civil War, the two World Wars, in Korea, in Vietnam, the Gulf War, Afghanistan, and other locations around the world. We also pay tribute to those who continue to fight for freedom. After the flag is completely folded and tucked in, it takes on the appearance of a cocked hat, ever reminding us of the soldiers who served under General George Washington and the sailors and Marines who served under Captain John Paul Jones, who were followed by their comrades and shipmates in the armed forces of the United States, preserving for us the rights, privileges, and freedoms we enjoy today. Color guard, hoist the colors. Color guard, lower the colors to half staff.
Well, at age 17, I was faced with knowledge that there was a selective service system, meaning I could be drafted at any time. Knowing that as a fact of life, I decided that since I'd grown up in Kansas and Missouri, essentially a landlocked area, I wanted to see the world, and that's exactly what the Navy was promising. So, when I graduated from college, I indeed joined the Navy. I decided to stay for a different reason, and for a better reason, I think. I found myself on destroyers in the Atlantic trying to protect and find Soviet ballistic nuclear submarines that were threatening our country. It came to me that I was doing something important on a larger scale, not just for me, my family, and my state, but for my country, for the Western thought and way of life. And I thought, I like being part of something like that.
For me, entering the military during a period where there was no draft and you had to volunteer, it was inherently a choice to serve. And I made that choice initially, and then years later I made another choice to continue serving as a reservist, as I do today. And I made that choice in part because I knew that I could do more. I could help the Marine Corps in some limited capacity, and I could help the nation as a result of that. For me, the incident that's closest to my experience and to my heart is July 2015 in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We don't think of Chattanooga as a place, in modern times at least, when courage and perseverance are going to be demonstrated. But on that day, the Marines and sailors that work at a reserve center there, Mike Battery 314 was the Marine unit, were attacked by a radical Islamist. The Marines were unarmed. They were working in the motor pool, maintaining trucks. Two Marines charged the attacker. They had taken one pistol that a Marine had from a civilian life and returned fire and provided cover while the Marines escaped out the back of the motor pool and helped evacuate children who were playing in a park that's nearby away from the danger area. Both those Marines were killed, as well as were two other Marines and a sailor. The two Marines who aggressed were people who I'd worked with closely and knew well, and they were great Marines. I knew that they had it within them. And I was not there that day to witness it, but I know that they rendered enormous service to their fellow Marines and sailors that were there that day, and civilians in the area, and demonstrated unbelievable courage in that moment. That was a complete total surprise to them on a regular workday.
In late 1970, when I was on a ship posted off Vietnam in the Gulf of Tonkin, we were at a position called Search and Rescue Station. We had on the ship 2 helicopters, and their mission was to recover downed pilots in the water that crashed or had been shot down. One afternoon, we were called to launch one of our helicopters to rescue 2 planes that had gone down. The mission took it from our ship to about 1 mile offshore of Haiphong, North Vietnam. And the pilots of the helicopter spent almost an hour retrieving 4 pilots from the water. In doing so, they underwent heavy gunfire from patrol boats that proceeded out of the harbor and from shore fire. When that helicopter got back to the ship, I inspected it. It had literally hundreds of bullet holes in it. I was amazed they made it back. The crew and all the pilots. I have never seen or been close witness to such heroics. Those men, the 4 helicopter crewmen, as well as the pilots, were under fire for approximately an hour when they got back. It was extraordinary to me. I've never been so close to real courage. Patriotism to me defines itself as affiliation to a larger civic group, a whole, a state, or a nation state. And in the military, you come to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, and you want to do it well.
I'd like to thank ACA for recognizing Veterans Day and continuing this tradition, even in this virtual format. Thank you, Dad, for joining us. And thank you to all the veterans out there affiliated with ACA or not that are watching this. Also, happy 245th birthday, Marines. Hoorah!
Good morning. My name is Kyla Warhola, and I'm proud to be the female senior class representative here at Atlanta Classical Academy. Today, we honor those who have served our country, including those who have sacrificed their lives to defend the freedoms that you and I enjoy every day. We ought to appreciate these freedoms because our way of living would be radically different without them, and because our veterans made the greatest sacrifice by giving up their comfort to ensure that our land is defended and our American values are preserved. My education at Atlanta Classical has taught me that living a true, beautiful life is impossible without sacrifice. ACA students realize that we must avoid many tempting distractions in order to achieve success in difficult classes. My courses and teachers have guided me to appreciate the value of sacrifice and to see its benefits. We have seen the importance of sacrifice through our study of American history, which consists of countless examples of the connection between sacrifice and liberty. For example, Ms. Stone is one of the teachers here at ACA who expressively shares her passion for the rights that are protected by the people who fight for us. In her American history class, we recently studied the origins of what would become Veterans Day. We learned that World War I devastated many countries and could have threatened our nation's progress. However, Ms. Stone encouraged us to discuss how joining the war symbolized the apotheosis of American optimism. Our nation joined this war with the lofty goal of helping to end one of the greatest conflicts in human history. America followed the leadership of President Woodrow Wilson, who described the war as a war of peace and proclaimed that the country had no selfish ends to serve. In November 1919, Wilson declared November 11th as the first commemoration of Armistice Day. This day was established to reflect on the heroism of those who had died in our country's service and express gratitude for the victory. Without our veterans, America would not have the opportunity to exhibit our values of peace, patriotism, and justice to people around the world. These daily conversations about the price of our freedom leave me with a sense of gratitude. Our veterans should be recognized for accepting risks that require an immense amount of courage, which is rooted in a profound respect for America. One of our school virtues here at ACA is service. While this virtue is inherently valuable, it requires exceptional character and sacrifice to execute. It takes humility to serve others because it is grounded in putting the feelings of others and needs above your own. I speak on behalf of my peers when I say that our education at Atlanta Classical Academy is inspiring us to become service leaders in society. We recognize that the veterans who we are celebrating today are excellent role models who have applied this virtue to their own lives. I'm thankful for teachers who direct me to appreciate service and those who serve. I would like to take this opportunity to extend my thanks and the thanks of my peers to the veterans in our community and beyond it.
Good morning, veterans and ACA family. I'm Mr. Schulte, and I teach sixth grade here at Atlanta Classical. It's an honor to speak with you today. Veterans, I wish I could see your faces, see you dressed in your sharp uniforms, decorated with your insignia and crests and pins, surrounded by your family who love you and are so proud of you for all that you have sacrificed for our country. But while I can't see you in person today, I'm thankful for the past 5 years I've been able to watch this Veterans Day ceremony progress into a special and anticipated community event at ACA. In fact, it has become the marquee assembly of the fall semester. one that both educates and inspires our students, faculty, and staff, as well as every family member and citizen who attends. Join me for a moment as I reminisce on past ceremonies. I can recall crisp November mornings standing alongside my students who are excitedly chatting as they wait for the ceremony to begin. As a teacher, it can feel like an overwhelming task to ensure your students are quiet and respectful for such a solemn occasion. But unfailingly, each year, the most remarkable thing takes place. My rowdy bunch of sixth graders transform into quiet and attentive participants as the solemnity of the event permeates the air. As they watch you, veterans, stand and salute the flag of the country you served, as they listen to readings from our country's founding documents, as they watch the changing of the flag, and as they hear the melancholy notes of the bugle sound forth, the sights and sounds, rich with meaning, captivate their attention and become their teachers. This palpable experience, year after year, does something to these students, whether they realize it or not. They are learning bit by bit what it means to be an American citizen. They're being reminded of the story they have inherited. And they are seeing examples of brave men and women whom they can follow, ones who strive to live out the best principles that mark our country. And so is every person in attendance learning these very same things. Traditions like these are the best educators. They ground us in the past, steady us for the present, and illuminate the path ahead. They are anchors when storms around us rage. Recently, my family was invited by a friend to attend a feast at his house in celebration of the Jewish festival of Sukkot, or the Feast of Booths. During this week-long festival, it's customary for participants to build a sukkah, or temporary dwelling, i.e. booth, where family and friends gather each night to feast on delicious food and drink, to enjoy each other's company, and to remember the time when God brought the Hebrew people out of slavery in Egypt and dwelled with them in tents in the midst of the Sinai desert for 40 years. My boys and I had a chance to help build the sukkah, which consisted of erecting lattice walls on the back deck of a house, along with cutting down leafy branches to cover the temporary roof. This tactile experience, replete with yummy food and good company, made quite an impression on my boys. It evoked their curiosity and led them to ask questions, creating a ripe opportunity for learning to take place. It was clear to me that connections between what we were doing and what the festival was about sunk deeper for them than if I simply read a book to them about Sukkot. And I can imagine that for many Jewish families, experiencing a tradition like this one, year after year for generations, would shape them in a profound way. It would remind them of the values and beliefs that their community holds most dear. It would be the sort of thing they would long for when they're far from home, and it would comprise some of their fondest memories. You, veterans, are no strangers to tradition. Each branch of service has its own unique set of them. Some may be silly, others profound. And I'm not going to try and recount these or pretend like I know them all, but you know them, and they shape the person that you are today. They helped instill within you the values that you hold, the sense of pride and duty and love that you have for our country. And they have, in turn, shaped your families and your communities. So may you keep on with the traditions in your family life and in your community that you hold most dear, ones that are good, beautiful, and true, ones worthy to pass on. And may we continue to do this as a school, even as we are today. Our ceremony may have changed some in its form, but its essence remains the same. And it's these sorts of traditions that will keep us grounded in uncertain times. They will inspire us and keep us going on hard days and challenging seasons, even in the midst of a pandemic. So thank you again for being a part of this ceremony, and we are delighted to honor you today.
Let us thank the primary organizers of today's ceremony, Assistant Upper School Principal, Mr. Sheps, Advancement Director, Mrs. Franklin, video production from Ms. Bowler, technical support from Mr. Richter, the Braun family, and Ms. Kapoor, PTCA co-presidents Wendy Herndon and Eric Kirkland, our bugler, Army Staff Sergeant Elise Hudson of the 116th Army Band, Mr. Franklin and our chamber choir, our color guard led by 10th grader Matthew Braun, and we thank our speakers, Captain and Lieutenant Colonel Stewart, Ms. Warhola, and Mr. Schulte. To learn more about Atlanta Classical and subscribe to our newsletter, please visit atlantaclassical.org. To the veterans in our presence, we're grateful for your service. You are an inspiration to our students, and we hope to have honored your selfless sacrifice to your families and to our nation today. Thank you for being with us, and have a wonderful day.